Welcome back, everybody, to Two Vits Talking Shit. My name is Michael, and this is my great co-host and dad,
Mike Vitt.
Mr. Mike Vitt. And
Yes, sir.
and this is a podcast where we talk football. We talk American football. We talk sports. Every week on Thursday. That's the day we upload now. We talk about the previous week and our thoughts on the upcoming week of the NFL football season. Now we have a little bit of a process we go through every week where we talk about our two teams. I'm a Lions fan, as you can see. He is a Raiders fan, as you can see. Are you good, man? Am I preaching? Am I preaching to the choir right now?
No, that's just our favorite teams. Yeah, go ahead.
We talk about both our teams to start off every week, and then we kind of move on into talking about all the other news that was going on. We talked a little bit about last week. Mostly talk about our thoughts on what's going to happen next week, and then we go from there. Well, let's get to it, man. We've talked about the Raiders, I think, first the last couple weeks. So let's tackle the Lions first this week.
Okay.
They looked really bad on offense against the Eagles on Sunday Night Football. Something that hasn't been said in a very long time, which is the Lions' offense is their issue right now. 2 weeks ago, we thought it was the offensive coordinator play calling, John Morton. There's been questions about how the Lions' offense works all year, but I think it's pretty obvious what the big issue is, and that is the Lions losing Frank Ragnow and Zietler in the offseason. They're two of their big offensive line pieces has kind of hindered their ability to play good football. Jared Goff's getting pressured like crazy. Their pass rush sucks, and their run game is not as good because of the issues on the interior O-line, and it was on display this Sunday night against the Eagles. Now, there are some positives to that game, albeit now the Lions are out of the playoffs, which is a big negative. They're third in their division, and it sucks. But the positives to the game is the defense is playing really good. Really, really good. I think the Lions defense played phenomenal on Sunday night. They only allowed 16 points, and they were kind of shutting the Eagles down all game, with the exception of their one touchdown, right? It was one touchdown. Maybe they had two. I don't know. Either way, the Lions defense played really well. I'm demoralized, man. It sucks. It sucks when your team loses, because that's a game they should have won. They really should have won it. But really, when you look at it all, right, the Lions lost to the Packers, who are a playoff team, who are over 500. They lost to the Chiefs at home, which, they're a good football team. I wouldn't say they're great, but they are the Chiefs. And they've lost to the Eagles now, who are the defending Super Bowl champs, number one seed in the NFC. And then also, we're not going to really touch on this one, but they lost to the Vikings at home, which kind of sucks. I can't believe they did that. But either way, what I'm trying to say is the Lions came into the season with one of, if not the hardest projected schedule in the league. And, I wasn't expecting them to be a 15-2 super powerhouse football team this year like they were last year. And that's what's happening. They're 6-4. They're over 500. They're still very much in the hunt for a playoff spot. So I can't be mad. I just need that offensive line to figure their shit out, because you can tell right away if the Lions offense is going to play well or not based on the first couple plays of a game and how that O-line is playing. So, yeah. Trying to be positive. Trying to be positive because Lions fans really like to go scorched earth when we lose. So,
yeah, it's an interesting dynamic to be a fan of any team, but the fan of a team who was not very good for 50-something years.
Yep.
And in the last 5 years has experienced the most success ever as a franchise, and have a culture and some excitement and some really good players and a lot of really good things happening. So it's really sort of funny that on a week-by-week basis that it feels like the entire earth is crumbling around them. And
I'm on a roller coaster ride.
I tend to be someone who looks sort of at not always wins and losses, but process and sort of what's happening on a bigger picture. And I will say though that I'm a little concerned about the Lions as well. We talked about at the
Yeah.
beginning of the season. I was very adamant that I felt like the loss of the people or the players on that offensive line that were the heart and soul of the team that allowed all the other awesome pieces, skill pieces around them to be successful was going to
Yeah.
be a bigger problem that it started off looking like it was going to be at the beginning of the season. I don't think that is the entirety of the problem. I don't.
No.
There are definitely some issues when Jared Goff gets pressured. He is not does not do well under pressure. I think it's silly for
This year,
anybody to
yeah.
say somebody plays better not under pressure and names a quarterback. Yeah, really? Like every quarterback plays better not under pressure, but
Exactly.
he has a significant issue where it's. I mean, and he had by far his worst game ever through only for 38% completion, which is jeez.
Yeah, it was
That is
bad.
not that is not good.
He could not hit his receivers, and it seemed like when he was hitting his receivers in the hands, they were dropping it left, right, and center. So
Yeah, and I mean, the completion percentage on paper is terrible, but just what we saw while watching the game was terrible. My actually biggest issue with this game, because we watch it as we watch most games together, but certainly Lions and Raiders games. My biggest issue was really the play calling
yep.
and the direction of Dan Campbell. And I don't
Yeah.
mean Dan Campbell has been a go for it on fourth down, fake punt, and do some really some things that really sort of at times make you scratch your head. But he's been that guy from day one. But and for a large portion of that time, it's worked and it's been fine. And when it didn't work, you could still see why it was okay to do it.
Yeah.
This game was the first time where I'm thinking to myself, Dan, you got to come off of that a little bit, and you've got to make an adjustment, which he did not do.
Yeah.
And they were 0 for 5 on fourth down conversions, and they
0
were
for
terrible on
5.
third down. And
They converted like
they
one,
weren't
maybe
even
two.
close. They weren't even close on their fake punt attempt. And
No.
so, when you just look at the recap of the game, my concern is on a bigger scale. This is the first time in the last 5 years where I've watched a game, or even maybe in the last 2 weeks where I've had a concern where I think, is this going to be fixable? Is this something that was just an isolated incident or not? Well, time will tell. I'm not all that concerned just yet, but there's some things that definitely are cause for concern from me.
It's reminiscent of year 1 of the Dan Campbell regime, year 2 as well. Before Ben Johnson started as the OC, it was very similar. Because Dan Campbell was calling plays back then too. It's one of those things where it feels like he doesn't know when to stop, right? Like that's the issue, right? Which is that's how he does it, right? That's how he coaches it, where he's gonna go for it on fourth down every time, but it's a snowball effect, right? Where he'll go for it on fourth down. If he doesn't get it, he digs the team into a deeper hole, right? And then as you dig yourself into that deeper hole, then it's like, okay, well now we have to go for it now, no matter what, right? Whereas if he didn't dig that hole, there was chances where the Lions would be within 3 points, right? I think missed a field goal. We went for it on fourth down, in field goal range. There's a lot of points left on the board or off the board really that Dan Campbell could have gotten. And yeah, I agree. Yeah. I don't think we've seen this since year 1 or year 2 of this whole new coach thing. So we'll see what happens. We'll see if the adjustments are made. Again, I'm not worried too much. I think the Lions will probably still make it to the playoffs, and that's really the ultimate goal at the end of every year is at least get to the playoffs and then go from there. So we'll see what happens. Let's move on to the Raiders, though.
Let's do that. Let's do that. So we could probably listen to any of my feedback from the last 6 weeks of the Raiders and how I feel about them and what I see, and it hasn't changed.
Probably applies, yeah.
Yeah. So all dreams and hopes crushed based on those dreams and hopes being that Pete Carroll would change the culture and that things would change. And it hasn't. And it's the same. And it's no different last week than it was the week before, the week before, the week before.
Yeah.
And at this point, my heart just aches because we we were watching when you and I were watching the game.
We were watching the game
And
together.
I actually turned it off and went to bed on Thursday or on Monday night, about halfway, a little more than halfway through the game.
Yeah.
Because I was tired of them panning to shots of Max Crosby on the sidelines with basically a just dejected, hopeless look on his face.
Yeah.
Because the man can only do so much. And Max Crosby is my favorite player for a lot of different reasons. But just sticking with on the football field, he's a 1,000% max effort guy. No pun intended with his name.
The best to do it.
And he doesn't let circumstances around him affect that effort, and I love it. But man, it hurts. It just pains me to watch him try so hard and just get, on the sidelines. They just keep panning to shots of him. And so I don't know what the answer is right now. I don't think that we're going to know until it gets closer to the end of the season. I can't imagine at this point that Mark Davis, the owner, is going to fire and try and rerun it back with another coach. Not just yet, but man,
you guys still got Gruden under contract, right?
6 years. Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, dude, call him up. Give him a phone call.
Yeah.
So
it's just like it's just a comedy of errors in every decision. So I don't really have any specifics to say. It's just me again, another week of just being sad.
Yeah, I mean,
so that's it.
There was a little bit of news where in the media they were asking Raiders players after the game, essentially that question of like, has the culture changed? It's very similar season to last season, and the players have defended it. They have said like there is a difference this year than there was last year. It feels like we are being held together a bit, but like that offense really just needs to be fixed. I mean, if your defense is on the field for 80% of the game, they're going to give up a shit ton of points. So that offense needs to figure out how to convert anything. And it kind of sucks because there was one play, I think, that worked for the Raiders all game, and it was throwing a corner to Brock Bowers. If Brock Bowers ran a corner route, he'd be open, and then that was it. That was the only time you guys would convert anything. So... I hope there's some changes made. Definitely needs a quarterback change. Definitely needs an offensive play calling change because I think the Raiders have the pieces for sure to make something happen and be a competitive football team. But clearly, that's not happening. So
all right,
let's get out of the depression. Let's get out of the depression. We're 13 minutes in. Let's get hype. Let's get excited. What is there to be excited about? Well, hey, we could talk about what's going on in the league before we get into discussing, next week's games. I think there's a couple big things to talk about. First of all, Bears first in the NFC North. Who thought that was going to happen? Other than Bears fans, that is shocking. I think there's some things to note, and there's about it. Now, while the Bears do boast a super great record, 7-3, and while they do have, I think it's the 6th best defense in the league and 5th ranked offense in the league. They look great. They look awesome. And they're doing that with a lot of injuries on defense. We do need to note that they have not beat a single team above 500. And I think that's important to note. The Bears have won 7 games against 7 teams who are not over 500. This is a conversation we've had a couple times this year, but the parity this year is crazy. Teams that are really good look not as good, and teams that were really, really bad look really, really good. And I think that's due to the fact that a lot of these teams that are really, really good, and I didn't do the full research on it, but I looked into it with you on the phone last week. A lot of teams that are at the top of their respective divisions were not first or even second in their division last year. Which is causing a lot of changes because now you're having teams like the Bears who were a really talented roster, who just had terrible coaching, who now have a schedule where they're playing against a lot of teams that haven't had those changes, and they're winning those games because of the differences in that, right? I think this year's playoffs and this year's the way this year's gone is super awesome because, again, it's doing what it's designed to do, right? The teams are seemingly, for the most part, up and down, left and right, pretty even. because of how the schedules are laid out. But I do think the teams that are in the playoffs are a little bit questionable, some of them. The Bears, right, for example, are a team that's currently in the playoffs that I think is a bit questionable.
Well, you're saying, okay, hold on. You're saying in the playoffs. Let's just clarify right now.
We still have 6, 7
weeks.
There's still 7 weeks of football, but what I'm saying is the teams that are good are at the top, right, in the standings right now. Some of them are fraudulent, and I think some of the teams that aren't at the top, are being misrepresented. That's what I'm saying, right?
Okay, let's do 2 examples. Who do you think at the top right now? You want to go through the NFC real quick?
Yeah. Who do I think at the top of the NFC is
So in
fraudulent?
the NFC East, you got the Eagles at the top. They're 8-2, and then nobody. The Cowboys are 4-5. Commanders, Giants are garbage. In the NFC North, the Bears are 7-3. The Packers are 6-3-1. The Lions are 6-4. So those are all within a game of each other.
Yeah.
And then the NFC South, the Buccaneers are 6-4.
Panthers are
6-5. And then NFC West, which is
a powerhouse
division. The Rams are 8-2, the Seahawks are 7-3, and the 49ers are 7-4.
Yeah.
So just in the NFC, what do you think?
So, okay, in the NFC, right, the Eagles are the example of this team is good. This team is proven to be good. Their record shows it, right? Won the Super Bowl last year, had a hard schedule this year, right? And they're winning games. That's a team that is like, okay, that makes sense. The Bears are an example of a team that is their record may be lying a little bit about what's going on because they're only beating teams that are under 500. An example of the opposite, right? The Commanders last year, awesome team. Went to the playoffs, had a great run, made it to the NFC Championship, right? Beat some teams that maybe they shouldn't have beaten, but they had a great year. This year, it's flipped because they ended the season with such a great record and in such a great position that now they're playing a bunch of teams that are significantly better than them. When last year, they weren't playing those teams, right? That's kind of what I'm saying, right? The Panthers are another example, like the Bears, right? Their record's a little bit 6-5 is maybe not completely representative of how good that team is. That's what I'm saying. The Niners are an example like the Eagles, where their record is really good for what's going on with them. That's what I'm saying. And then on the other side of it, right? The conversation's the same. You have, the Broncos who are playing really, really good, and I've been saying they're on fraud watch for a while now. They did make the Chiefs look really silly last week, so maybe I need to take a step back from saying it. But the Broncos would have been my example of them, right? That's kind of what I'm saying. It's just because of how schedules are made, some teams look a lot better than I think they are, and we need to see them playing a really good football team before we can say anything. Now, the Bears this week are, I believe, playing a team that is above 500. They're playing the AFC North leaders, the Steelers. Let's see what happens, right? That's my conversation. That's the big piece that I wanted to bring up today, is that I genuinely, I don't think anything that's happening in the regular season right now, or any records really you can look at and say anything about, or stats in general about teams, unless you really dive deep into them.
Yeah, I think that's sort of like most years, because I think when you look at,
I think this year it's shocking.
I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying to a certain degree. I get what you're saying with regards to some of these teams that you don't really believe that necessarily their record really is representative of actually how good they are. That maybe the Bears at 7-3. When we look at a 7-3 team, we generally look at that team as being a good team, potentially in this case, like they are a division leader, and that you don't really feel like they're warranted of having that status right now. And you know what? I mean, we've had this conversation with a few different teams, specifically to the Bears in this case. I didn't think they were all that good either. I tend to lean towards you in favor of that sort of that path, that way of going. However, they have a better record than the Packers and the Lions, and I'm not even going to bring in the Vikings.
No.
And they have made huge improvements over last year.
I think the Bears are a great football team. It's more so going into the end of the season. I mean, I said it last week. I thought the Bears were really good, and you were giving me a little bit of weird looks, and then we both picked opposite of what we said. But the Bears are a good team, and they've made massive improvements, and the roster is it's full of talented players, and clearly Ben Johnson has revitalized this team. But I need to see them beat a team that is also good, and they haven't done that yet.
So they have their schedule is the Steelers, Eagles, Packers,
yes,
Browns, Packers, 49ers, Lions. So 1, 2, 3, 4. What do we have? 6 weeks, 7 weeks left?
There's 7 weeks left. One of those teams that they're playing is under 500. So this is where we're gonna find out how good the Bears actually are. Is what I'm saying. Because now they're playing against division leader of NFC leader, a Packers team that is regressing but good still. The Niners, who are still fighting, and by the end of the season, they're going to have a lot of their players back who are hurt, which I think they got most of them back already at this point, anyways. And then the Lions again. Those are all going to be big games for them. So through this last 7-week stretch, we're going to find out really how good the Bears actually are. Because up until this point, again, they haven't played a significantly good football team.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah.
I'm trying to look at... I don't necessarily want to look at that team per se.
I mean, the Bears barely beat the Vikings this week. And J.J. McCarthy did everything in his power to give the ball to the opposing team the entire game.
Right.
And that's you know, and that's kind of the story that the Bears have been like all year, right? Barely beat the Vikings, barely beat the Giants, barely beat the Bengals, got bitched on by the Ravens with Tyler Huntley at QB, you know, barely beat the Commanders, barely beat the Raiders, and then lost the Vikings in week 1 and lost the Lions by 30 points in week 2.
Yeah.
There's a difference between barely winning games against good teams and barely winning games against bad teams. And that's why I want to see what these Bears are all about. So they got to go in and play against the Steelers, whose defense is proving to be what we thought they were, what they should have been. Now, all of a sudden, they're playing lights out again. They got to play against the Eagles, who have one of the best defenses in the league. They got to play against the Packers twice, who have an insanely good defense. They got to play against the Browns, who have a great defense. Now they're going to get up against a bunch of teams with great defenses, and they gotta actually show that they can score points and win these games. Let's see.
Fair enough.
Let's see. Now, I feel like I'm a Lions fan, so I'm shitting on the Bears. I'm not trying to shit on the Bears. I just want to see the Bears prove it. I know,
and that's why I didn't want to, because it naturally went to look at the Lions schedule, because I think it's the same thing across the board there. And I think I picked a different team. So I'm looking at the Rams, and the Rams, you just said, I think you said that division's a juggernaut. Maybe you didn't say the Rams were, but I think we both agree that the Rams are pretty good.
I think the Rams are the best team in the NFL right now.
Right, and so they're 8-2, right?
8-3.
8-3. Okay, so they beat the Texans, which I think we both agree is not very good. The Titans, which is not very good. They lost to the Eagles. They beat the Colts, but I would say that the Colts actually beat themselves in that week. But I mean, they beat them. They lost to the 49ers. They beat the Ravens, who at that time were garbage. They beat the Jaguars, which we discussed them back and forth, but I don't think they're very good. They beat the Saints, not very good. They did beat the 49ers.
The Niners.
Again. And they actually they beat the Seahawks last week, 21-19. But if you watch that game, Darnold turned the ball over 4 times for the Seahawks.
But that's the difference, right? The Rams beat a 7-win team. The Rams beat another 7-win team, right? They beat the Jags, who are winning games still, convincingly, right? They beat the Colts, who are second place in the AFC. You know, the way they lost to the Eagles was on a field goal or at the end of the game, right? They lost on a field goal that was blocked. They were kicking the go-ahead game-winning field goal, and the Eagles blocked it and won the game, right? That's a difference. That's a huge difference.
Okay.
To me, that is.
Fair enough.
Right? That is a huge difference to me. So that, and you know, I don't know what you were looking at for the Lions specifically. Were you just looking at their what they have to play?
What they have remaining to play? No, I was just looking at how they got to 6-4.
Yeah.
Because they're you know one game behind. One game behind the Browns.
I mean to give the Lions their due diligence, right? The teams that they've beaten, right? The Ravens they beat at full strength, which I'm giving that to the Lions. That was a Ravens team that still had Lamar, had everything still going together. They beat the Ravens. I'm giving them that. They beat the Bears, who are a 7-win team.
Wait, so you're gonna, and we're a little bit in the weeds here. So for those of you who don't follow as closely as we do, you're gonna give the Lions that was a good win for them in Week 3 when they beat the Ravens, who were 1-5 before they won the last 4 games.
Yeah, because before. I think that's fair to say. That's fair.
I think that's you being a Lions fan.
Week one, the Ravens lose to the Bills by 1 point. Week 2, they win their game. Week 3, the Lions bitch slapped them. At that point, that was an okay thing to say. Then the Ravens' downfall happened. They were 1-1, barely losing to the Bills. What do you mean? Okay, drop that. Whatever you want to say, drop that. Okay, we still beat the Buccaneers, who are a good football team, right? Like we still have good wins. And
time they were, yeah. I mean, at that time, in hindsight, the Buccaneers are 6-4. They're not great.
Yeah,
they're okay.
Yeah, like you have to look at the context of the situation. You have to. You can't not look at the context of the situation.
We just see it differently. That's okay. That's why.
Well, here's the big one. The Bears are 7-3, and the Lions beat them by 30 points. Are you going to say that they weren't good then?
The Bears?
Yes.
The Bears have gotten a lot better since Week 2. I can tell you that.
I agree, but we still beat them by 30 points. Like,
yeah, you're right. You did beat the Lions did beat them by 30 points, and I think that the Bears are significantly better, and at this point where the Lions sit based on the last couple of weeks, I have concerns that I didn't have then in that week for the Lions.
I do too.
So, you know, that's what's, you know, but that's really what's fun about football. You know, we have preseason, and our first pod, we discussed all these things that could possibly happen and where we thought these teams were based on, you know, what we looked into, what we've seen from last year, what we projected for this year. And we're now sort of in the back half of the middle of the season, and where we're starting to now look at, okay, what are the remaining schedules? Because we're starting to, you know, pick, you know, this might be a win, this might be a loss. You know, this team isn't as good as we thought they were. This team's better. And, you know, at face value, the teams are the records that they are. I for this argument, my team for this argument is... And I went on a little bit of a rant last week, and I have been very vocal about my feelings about the Broncos.
Yeah.
And the fact that I have said now for 5 weeks in a row that they were the worst. You know, they were the worst 4-2 team. They were the worst 5-2 team. They were the worst 6-2 team. They were the worst 7-2 team. I've been saying that for about 5 or 6 weeks.
Yeah.
And they've won 8 games in a row, and they're 9-2, and they are clearly the leaders in the AFC West.
They are.
And I'd say they're better than the Bills, and which is a team that a lot of people picked for Super Bowl this year. I think they're better than the Ravens, who have had a resurgence after their bye week, who were 1-5 at one point, who are now 5-5.
Yeah.
I think they're better than the Steelers, who lead that division, AFC North. I think even the team that I picked, that I spent an inordinate amount of time talking about in our first pod, which is the Colts. I think they're better than the Colts, who are 8-2 and lead their AFC South. And so I've sort of have to now slowly roll back everything I've said for the last month. And while I still think it's a little bit ugly, they're 9-2, and they have won 8 games in a row. And that is not an easy task. And the only team that I think that even is in that ballpark is the Patriots, who also are 9-2 and who also have won 8 in a row.
Yeah.
And so,
yeah.
I didn't have as much negative things to say about the Patriots as I did about the Broncos because I really felt strongly about the Broncos. But here we are, 9-2, and so we're at the back half of the middle of the season here, and I think that there are definitely, to your point, some surprising teams that are doing
Yep.
some things that we didn't really expect. And I think that the last 6-7 weeks here of the season will lead us to sort of the picture will become clearer as we get closer to the playoffs.
Yeah.
And so that's my crow for the week, as far as, and maybe for the season now, because I've been banging on the Broncos for so long.
Yeah,
But
I think there's some merit to what you were saying though. You know, with the exception of that win on the Eagles that they had in week 5, the teams that they've beaten were not teams that, you know, again, that you would consider to be good. The Giants, the Jets, the Cowboys, the Texans, the Raiders, right? All fall the Bengals before the Eagles, right? That's where their 8-win streak started. It was beating the Bengals, and with the exception of the Eagles, I would say they haven't beaten a team that is super good outside of the Chiefs and the Eagles. So
yeah, but you know what? I mean, this is all. I mean, and this is fun to do when you do kind of play these games. And so this is,
we'll
the
see where it
NFL
goes,
doesn't
right?
have the NFL doesn't have a voting system or an AP poll or any of the things that college football has, and quite frankly, none of that shit really matters.
No.
They have an 8-win winning streak, and I can sit here as a Raiders fan, team is 2-8. That I could tell you that if my team was 9-2 right now, I wouldn't give a shit how they got to 9-2.
Yeah.
So
Agreed.
we can play all those games, and I'm sure that where you're sitting last year at 15-2, and the way that the Lions played last year, you don't care. You can't probably remember much about, except the fact they were 15-2 and they were kicking ass last year, and so
Well, I
the
remember a
rest
little
of
bit
it's
more
for
than
us to
that.
talk. Well, okay, but the rest of it's for
Yeah,
us
I
to
get what
talk
you're
back and
saying.
forth about.
I
But
get
the
what you're
records are
saying.
the records. The records are the records. We will continue to give our feedback or thoughts on the weeks that are coming up. But
I think there are to end it all. There are two teams that I have questions about, and I want them to prove it. And it was the Broncos and it was the Bears. I want those two teams are teams that are really good on paper and on their wins. Right? They've shown
yeah,
that they're good. I want to see them play powerhouses and win. And the Broncos really don't have that much left to play that are powerhouses, but I think they've
mm.
proven it. So enough, right?
Okay, so we'll probably revisit as we get closer to the playoffs, and as the seedings start coming out, to actually, when teams start clinching and stuff, we can revisit and see if how our discussion today plays out. If we were true,
If
or
we were
if the,
right.
ge- the team, yeah, if the teams that we're talking about were actually as good as their records currently are, or if they were fugazi and we are
Fugazi. That's
correct.
that's one to throw out. All right.
Throw it in there.
Let's do it. Let's move on. That was the
Okay.
really only big topic we had this week. Let's move on into looking at next week's games.
Yeah, let's bang it
We'll
out.
start it off with Thursday night. We got the Bills at the Texans. Um,
Okay.
Not really much to say about this one. I think Texans eked one out against the Titans early on in that game. They looked kind of iffy, and then they ended up winning the game. So good for them. Awesome. I don't have much to say about them. On the other hand, though, the Bills came out and silenced the haters, if you will. Josh Allen looked phenomenal. I think he had like 3 rushing touchdowns and 3 passing touchdowns or some crazy
Yeah,
stat like that.
yeah, I think it was four
Uh,
throwing and 2 running, but yeah.
yeah, Josh Allen's phenomenal. I will say, he opened the game with an interception, and he had 2 total in that game. So he's looking a lot like Josh Allen a season before his MVP bouts, where where he looks really good, but he's still kind of slinging that rock a little crazy, and it does get away from him sometimes. But yeah, I mean, I think the Bills are kind of a lock for this week against the Texans, who've been struggling to be as good as they were a couple years ago.
Yeah, and they're still playing without their starting quarterback, who's still out from this
Yeah,
concussion from a couple weeks ago. So
Davis is still their
yeah,
Davis Mills is still their starting QB. So we'll see what
yeah,
happens. Next game, we'll start with the morning slate. Jets at Ravens. Jets are a team that we've signed off. We don't talk about it anymore, but a thing to note about them this week is they're starting Tyrod Taylor over Justin Fields. The Justin Fields experiment is over, it seems like. So we'll see how that plays out. I think the Ravens are probably just going to smack them, though.
Yeah, well, the Ravens have to win every week. Essentially, that's the hole they put themselves in.
Yep, they put themselves in a deep hole. They have to win every week for the rest of this year, probably to make it to the playoffs. So,
yeah, they can probably lose one or two more depending on what the rest of the division does. Yeah. But yeah,
they are coming off a bye. I believe they didn't play last week.
Who's this?
The Ravens.
The Ravens did play last week.
Oh, I'm so sorry. They beat the Browns in a weird game. Yeah. Walk off touchdown. Sorry.
Yep.
That was that game that I wasn't thinking about. Yeah. Next one, Steelers at Bears. We just had a very nice long discussion about the Bears, but really, again, this is the game that defines if the Bears are. I wouldn't say this defines if the Bears are good, but this win will be, if they do beat the Steelers, it will be something of note. Now, the Bears get to play a Steelers offense with Mason Rudolph starting at QB because Aaron Rodgers broke his wrist. But something to note, that Steelers defense is playing like they should be again. They are playing as good as they should. So we will see what happens. I think it'll be a really good game in Chicago. And I think depending on how the weather is in Chicago, it might be a ground and pound game. And I think that's been one of the Bears' weaker points this year. So,
is Mason Rudolph been announced that he's playing? That he's starting?
I don't think Aaron Rodgers is coming back, is he?
Yeah, I don't think he's not ruled out yet. He's still going to practice this week.
No shit.
But anyways, yeah, I don't think he's ruled out. It's on his non-throwing hand.
You're right.
And it doesn't require surgery. So. I don't think he's out.
You're right.
And,
he's not been.
I find it fascinating that you think that if the Bears beat the Steelers, that is a something that proves anything. I don't. The Steelers are 6-4. They don't really look very. They don't. They look good.
I think it helps their case of we might be better than, we are as good as our record shows. Again, to me, it really is. To me, it's not really about winning or losing. It's do you put points up on this defense that in the last couple weeks has played a lot better than they have this year, right? Okay. That's more what it's about,
that's your
right?
Measuring stick?
Yeah,
okay.
I mean, they held the Ravens to 16 points 2 weeks ago. They held, or not, sorry, what am I? Let me take a. They held the Bengals to 12 points last week. They held the They lost to the Chargers, but they held the Colts to 20 points, who are scoring like almost 40 points a game. So that defense is playing a lot better than we projected them to be playing. And beating the Colts is a good thing. So it's more so I want to see if that star-studded offense will continue to play really good football. I don't have any thoughts on the Steelers offense and how they're going to play. I think the Bears defense will probably smack them, but that's more telling. Next week is when we'll know more about the Bears. They're going to be playing the Eagles. So
what's the next game?
Next game, Patriots at Bengals first. Apologies. Patriots at Bengals. Only news of note there is Joe Burrow's practicing again. He won't be back this week, but he is practicing again. Yeah. So the Patriots are really good. I think they're going to beat the Bengals.
Oh yeah.
I have no thoughts about that. The Steelers, and Jamar Chase is suspended, so he's also not playing football this week either. So
yeah, so their number one wide receiver out. Joe Burrow, their starting quarterback, still out. Been out basically all season. Won't be back till probably after Thanksgiving. Their defense is garbage, and their offense is only slightly better. They're a team in flux for sure.
Yeah,
and the Patriots have things buttoned up. They look freaking awesome. And their second-year quarterback looks like he was worth every penny that they've given him and deserved the round that he got picked in. He looks like he may actually be the best of that class of quarterbacks from 2 years ago. So
100%. 100%.
All right, next game.
Next game. Now we're at the Giants at Lions. We talked about the Lions and my thoughts on them. The big thing to note in this game is Jackson Dart is back. Right? He's off the concussion protocol.
I think Jackson Dart is back. They're starting their rookie starting quarterback.
So Jackson Dart will be playing his first game without Dable as his head coach. I think we discussed it a bit before the pod, but the Giants organization is kind of a mess right now, right?
Super mess. Yeah. They fired Dable a couple weeks ago, their head coach for the last few years, and then some stuff started coming out with players who were missing meetings, and it just sounds like things were sort of falling apart there for a while. Their current GM, who had been their GM when Dable was there, they didn't sound like they really got along, saw eye to eye on personnel decisions and a bunch of other stuff. So it's kind of a mess. And then some of their rookie players were out in public. They didn't do anything wrong, but you're a team from New York playing the way they're playing, losing games the way they are, and then out and about on the town and not really looking like they're taking things all that serious. So
no,
sort of a mess right now. So I suspect that as long as the Lions don't look past this game, which I don't think they will, because they're not exactly in a position where they can act like they can just walk into a football game and win just because they showed up right now.
No,
so
yeah.
hopefully they'll use this week to prepare and get some stuff right, and use a team like the Giants, much like how teams use the Raiders, as a get right week and get back after it. So
yeah. Agreed. Vikings at Packers. Really, Josh Jacobs is out. I believe he's hurt. He's hurt.
Yeah, he was hurt his knee. Yeah.
So Josh Jacobs is done for the year. It's season-ending ACL surgery, right?
For Josh Jacobs, for the running back?
I believe so.
Sure, it was quite that serious, but
I'm mixing him up. He's hurt though. He probably won't play. He hasn't practiced this week. Sorry, I apologize. Yeah, he's just not potentially not playing this week. He wants to play, but he's not been practicing this week. So that's the big thing for the Packers when it comes to injuries and stuff.
I don't think the Packers defense will be fine. They're very good.
Exactly.
And J.J. McCarthy, their second year sort of rookie, because he didn't play it all last year for the Vikings, has not looked particularly good this year. And so I suspect that Green Bay, who is fighting to stay atop of the NFC South or North, I think will take care of business this week. Jordan Love, the quarterback for Green Bay, is a little hot and cold. He does some head scratching things this far into his career, but I think that the Green Bay, the Packers will take care of business this week.
Here's something that's very important to note. Toyotathon is projected to start this week. And if you don't know about the Jordan Love Toyotathon, the Jordan Love Toyotathon projections, when Toyotathon starts every year, Jordan Love has increased his performance and has played significantly better. Yes, up and through until Toyotathon ends. So Jordan Love might wake up. If he doesn't, it's going to be a problem. The core issue for the Packers, right, is that offense. So we'll see if they can figure it out. Next week, or next game, Colts, Chiefs. This is going to be a good one. Colts are coming off of their bye against the Chiefs, who just lost to the Broncos in Denver. The Chiefs are angry. They lost a game that they could have won. It was a hard-fought game, but they could have won that game against the Colts, who just had their bye week. Jonathan Taylor is a beast. I think it'll be a good game. I don't know. It's hard to count out the Chiefs ever, right? It really is hard to count them out. But if the Colts win this week against the Chiefs, I mean, a lot of questions around them, right? This could be a season where the Chiefs might miss the playoffs. So we'll see what happens there.
So, fun fact, Patrick Mahomes, starting quarterback for the Chiefs, has never lost 3 games in a row in his NFL career.
Oh, wow.
And they have lost the last 2.
2, yes, they have.
And so if they lose this week, it'll be the first time that he's ever lost 3 games in a row. And to put into context that Peyton Manning, Drew
Brees.
Brees.
Yeah.
I think Ben Roethlisberger all lost 7, 8, 9, 10 times where they lost 3 games in a row in their career.
Yeah.
All of those quarterbacks are Hall of Fame quarterbacks.
Yeah.
And so the Chiefs, I've said this, I think to you, not, just in our discussions, I'm adamant that this iteration of the Chiefs is over. The dynasty portion of this is over. They had a phenomenal run.
They did. 3 Super Bowls.
I mean, they've won the AFC West for 7 years in a row.
Yeah.
And they've been to 5 out of the last 6 Super Bowls. And so, I mean, they've been phenomenal. This is one of those weird cases where the team as a core is all the same. The head coach is the same. The quarterback's the same. The main pieces are the same. Mm-hmm. They haven't lost any significant pieces. The front office is all the same. But I think it's just, at some point, it sort of runs its course. And the Chiefs now are staring down where they're doing exactly what we've been doing today, which is looking at the remaining schedules for each team, going, okay, all right. I mean, this is a team we have to beat. This is a team we don't know if we can beat.
Yeah.
And at 5-5, the Chiefs basically they can only afford one loss, 2 more losses at most to squeak into the playoffs. So
they're in the same position the Ravens are right now, right? 5-5. So
yeah, but I would say right now my feeling about the Ravens and my feeling about the Chiefs are completely different for 2 reasons.
One team's going up, one team's going down.
But the other part is that the Ravens at 5-5 are second place in their division, only 1 game back of the Steelers.
And the Chiefs are third in their division.
The Chiefs at 5-5 are 4 games out of their division race, so they're going to have to sneak in by a wild card, whereas the Ravens can actually win their division.
Yeah.
And even though they might have a crappy record, 9-8, they could actually still win the division and be in. So that's why that's different there. But
I
got to be honest. It's not personal. This statement's not personal, but I'm going to be kind of happy if the Chiefs just go away for a little while.
I'd agree. Yeah, I agree.
I'm tired. I don't need to listen to them about them as much anymore. I'm ready for somebody new. So, all right, moving on. What's the next one?
Next game, we have the Seahawks at the Titans. We don't really need to talk about this, do we?
Let's talk about Seahawks are awesome.
Seahawks
had a terrible week last week, but
Darnold will bounce back. He has proven that he can. So
and the Seahawks on defense are an absolute juggernaut
monsters
right now.
Yeah, they're monsters.
We'll talk more about them as we get closer to the playoffs.
100%. Jags at Cardinals. Can we move past this one too?
Yeah.
Well, hey, actually, no. We should say one thing. Jacoby Brissett broke the record for most completions in an NFL football game this week with 47 passes completed on 58 attempts. Give that man some respect. That dude had to spend all fucking day throwing that football.
He's 47. He's actually 57. He's 47 of 57, 452 yards in a ass whooping that the 49ers put on them. They lost 41-22 to the 49ers.
400 and whatever.
Good on you, good on you, Jacoby Brissett.
Good on you, Jacoby Brissett. Great job. Other than that, we don't really need to talk much, right? No. Browns at Raiders. I think only thing of note for this game is Shadir's getting his first actual NFL start. So
Shedeur Sanders, we've talked about it. We've actually not talked a lot about this.
No, we avoided it. I mean, outside of
avoided it all season, but here he is. He's going to start. So I'll talk about it real briefly. Shedeur Sanders is Deion Sanders' son, who made quite a stir this year in the draft. Did a lot of sort of off the field things that are mind-boggling. On the field, wasn't particularly great, and his draft stock fell a lot because his on-field stuff wasn't particularly great. Followed up by his off-the-field antics were also not great, and so those two things meant that he fell to the 5th round while he was expected or projected by some and expected by him to be a first-round pick. He fell to the 5th round and has not played this season. He started the second half of last week's game because of an injury to their starting quarterback, and so he is going to start this week because that quarterback is still injured, and so we will see. I hate that this happens. This happens to the Raiders, it seems like all the time, where some weird circumstance, either it's an interim coach for the first week that's coaching or some sort of circumstance, and the boost from that team comes and the Raiders are
Yeah, it does suck. I do, just to play a little devil's advocate for Shadur. It seems like in the last week it's become very clear that Kevin Stefanski did not want to draft him in any way, and he was told he had to, right?
Yeah, the Browns
Ste-
owner made them draft him.
so
Otherwise, he would have gone and drafted. Yeah.
so Kevin Stefanski doesn't like him. I don't think Shadur's in a really great position. He's already playing for what is arguably the worst organization in the NFL. So it's rough for him. I don't think he's a terrible quarterback. I don't think he's super talented, superstar level talented, and that's how he acted in before the draft. So that's where a lot should be thrown at him. I think he's matured a lot more throughout the season. I think he's been humbled a lot personally. Personally, that's how I think. After watching him in a lot of his press conferences over the season, I think he started the season still a little bit cocky, but he's definitely been a bit more professional. I hope that he gets a chance and proves a little bit, but yeah, I don't think he's going to be doing much for the near future. As long as Stefanski's there, for sure won't be doing much. So that's my thoughts on it.
Yeah, I don't think he's a starting quarterback in the NFL.
I think he killed any chance of himself having a fair shot at the beginning of the year before the draft. And did a lot of stupid shit, and he's at this point doing his best to try to get that chance now because he threw it away before he even had a chance to start it. So we'll see what happens, but yeah.
Okay.
Next game, Eagles at Cowboys. This is going to be a fun one in my opinion.
Okay.
The Eagles offense has been struggling a lot this year, really.
All year, yeah.
AJ Brown still yapping up a storm. He did have a much better game against the Lions where he actually caught passes, so that good for him. But Eagles offense in general has been struggling all year. They're playing against one of the worst defenses in the league this week against the Cowboys, and then also on the flip side of it, right? You have a Cowboys offense who has been really great all year. And even though they sat their 2-star wide receivers on the first drive of last week's game because presumably they were out gambling when they shouldn't have been in Vegas, they still put up like 33 points. And, they're playing against one of the best defenses in the league with the Eagles. So, I think this will be a really fun matchup because of that. Because you're going to have go for it.
No, I'm sorry. Go. I'm sorry.
I think it's going to be a really fun matchup because you're going to have a really good defense playing a really good offense, and you're going to have a really bad offense against a really bad defense. So it'll be a fun shootout, in my opinion. I think it'll be a fun game to watch for sure.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah, it could be. We shall see.
Yep. Falcons at Saints. Let's just move right over it.
Honestly, the only thing about the Saints is I think this is where your injury from a couple teams ago, starting quarterback for the Falcons, Michael Penix,
has the ACL injury.
There it is. He's done for the season because he's gonna have surgery.
Yeah.
This is a guy who had multiple knee surgeries on his other knee in college.
Yep.
And so has blown out the other one in the NFL. So
does that mean Kirko's starting?
Yeah, but the Falcons, we've talked a lot about the Falcons. We're not talking about them anymore. We can go right on past it. Just wanted to hit on that point about Michael Penix Jr.'s season's over. So go ahead.
Next game, probably one of the best games of the week. Bucs at Rams. We've talked so greatly, so highly about both of these teams all year. I think the Rams are going to definitely beat the Bucs. The Bucs have been dealing with not only unfortunate injuries all season, but they've kind of fallen off in the last couple of weeks. They're one of those teams that I think are proving that they cannot stand with the top teams in the NFL, similar to the Lions right now, right? The Bucs have not been able to beat some really good football teams over the last couple of weeks, and it sucks for them because they're a team I like to watch. I like them a lot, I like Baker. I like that story, but yeah, unfortunately, I think the Rams are just rolling. And we really got to talk about the crimes that the LA Rams are committing because they gave up everything that they could have had imaginable to win a Super Bowl, won the Super Bowl, and now 3-4 years later are back to being super dominant, like one of the best defenses in the league. A really fun offense to watch. It just sucks that they were able to butcher their team for 3 years, and the butchering were still a decent football team. So crazy. The Rams really did pull a fast one on everybody, and the Lions especially, I guess. So, what can you do, man? What can you do?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I like this matchup too. Last week, one of the best 2 games was the Bucks and the Bills, and then the Bills. I mean, it was a good game.
Mm-hmm.
There's 9 leads. There's 9.
It was really competitive.
Last week,
yeah.
But yeah, after the second, halfway through the second half, though, I didn't feel like it was all that competitive.
No.
I think the Bills had that game. So
Bills ran away with it.
I think that I feel like it's going to be similar this week too. I think the Rams are really good, and so we'll see. But yeah, okay, next game.
Last game, Monday night. Panthers at 49ers. Now, at the beginning of the season, you told me this was a Monday night game. I would have told you, wow, that's going to be a snooze fest. But I think this is going to be a good game. Panthers are rolling, man. They're 6-4. They're winning football games. They're finding ways. And the Niners are 7-4.
7-4.
Yeah, they haven't had their bye week yet. They're injured to all hell. Brock Purdy's back, though. So I think the Niners are probably going to win this game. I think they're probably going to walk all over the Panthers. But it'll be a fun one, right? The Panthers have played great. Rico Dowdle, especially. Superstar running back. So I'm excited.
You think that you think the 49ers are going to beat them up that bad, huh?
I do, man. I do. I think at home, Monday night, I think they're going to walk in and they're going to show up. I really do. I think they're going to give them the same treatment they gave to the Cardinals. That's what I think. I think Bryce Young, if Bryce Young can't figure out how to get out of his own way, they're going to win. And I think it's going to happen. That's what I think.
Yeah.
I don't know. I've this whole year I've been harsh on the Panthers. I thought they were fraudulent. So hopefully they prove that they're fraudulent, because if they don't, man, I'm going to have to back up again. So
I mean, their signature win this year is against the Packers.
Yeah.
I mean, I think if they beat the 49ers this week, that would be a phenomenal win for them. I don't see them going like anything.
They might be first in their division. They'll be first in their division. Like if they
potentially,
win.
Yeah. If the Bucks lose and the Panthers win,
right? Like that's crazy. Their AFC counterpart, right, is like the Jags. You know, that's what I would say about them.
Yeah.
I would say their AFC counterpart is the Jags. They're both teams that are like they're winning games, right? But I'm looking at them with squinted eyes. I'm like, something's going on here. So.
Yeah. Okay.
We'll
All right. What's the next one?
That's it, dude. That's Monday night. That's it. We're done. We're done.
Oh wow. Okay,
Hands off.
Nice.
That was it for our review for this week. Those are our thoughts. We're gonna move on into our last segment of every week, where we do our fantasy pick'ems. Me and my dad every week do a fantasy pick'em. Let's give them the rundown real quick while I pull up last week. Boom, do it real quick.
Pull it up, and I already know how poorly I did, so you can race on through this. All right. I really don't want to relive another terrible week for me.
I'll do it real quick. All right, so every week, me and my dad, we do a fantasy pick'em where we pick what teams we think are going to win each week, and then we look to the Las Vegas odds of the game, and we pick which teams are going to cover and not cover. The negative numbers on the screen essentially mean that's how much a team is projected to win by, and if they do, then we're right. If they don't, then we're wrong, right? That's how it goes. Quick, simple, easy. Last week, you're looking at last week, I went 9-6, as well as you went 9-6, straight up, just who was going to win. We both went 9-6, but against the spread is a different story. So against the Vegas odds, I went 10-5. I only missed on 5 games. You, on the other hand, went 2-13. You whiffed hard. This is a rare occurrence. I think usually both of us are around 500 for the spread. But yeah, it was a rough week for you. Let's move on to this week though. And again, we gave you all our thoughts, so now we're just gonna go straight down the list, say who we think is gonna win, who we think is gonna lose. So first up, we got Bills at Texans. I have the Bills to win, but the Texans to cover.
I know the spread though.
The spread is Bills by 5.5.
I got the Bills both ways.
You got the Bills both ways. Texans, we didn't
Yes,
mention it, but they
absolutely.
are touting the best defense in the league this year, by the way. So that's
God
where
bless
my
them.
that's where my
They have
thoughts come
Davis.
from.
They have Davis Mills, and the Bills have this kid as they're known as
I agree.
Joshua Allen.
Jets at Ravens. Ravens are favored by 13.5. I will take the Ravens both ways. I think they're going to win by 2.
I have the Ravens winning and the Jets, the sneaky Jets led by Tyrod Taylor, losing by 11, and so they'll cover.
The Jets are going to lose by 11. All right. Steelers at Bears. Bears are favored by 2.5. I'm going to take the Bears both ways here. I don't think that Steelers offense is going to score any points against the Bears defense.
No, I got the Bears both ways too.
Yep. Pats at Bengals. Pats are favored by 7 here. I have the Pats both ways.
So do I.
I don't think the Bengals have really anything going for them this week. Giants at Lions. Lions are favored by 10.5. I'm gonna
10.5.
Yeah, I'm gonna give it to the Lions, but I think the Giants might cover. They've been playing close enough in games this year.
I'm going to say that the Lions are going to right the ship and put up like a 50 burger.
We're gonna put up a 50 burger. Okay, so the Lions both ways.
Yeah.
All right. Vikings at Packers. Packers by 6.5. I mean, man, I don't have much to say about how bad that Vikings offense is. So I'm unfortunately gonna have to give it to the Packers both ways.
I got Green Bay, but I got the Vikings covering on a divisional game.
Okay. In Lambeau, in the cold weather. Okay. Colts at Chiefs. Chiefs are favored by 3.5. I don't believe in the Chiefs in any way. I'm gonna take the Colts both ways coming off the bye.
Colts at Chiefs. I want very much for the Chiefs to lose 3 in a row.
Okay. Do you believe they're going to lose 3 in a row?
And I picked and was very high on the Colts and have been all year.
They're your team, man. They're your team.
And I got to stick with that.
Colts both ways?
Indianapolis Colts, baby.
There we go. Seahawks at Titans. Seahawks are favored by 13.5. I'm going to give it to the Seahawks both ways, in all honesty. It's rare for me to do that, but
I think they're going to take them lightly.
Really? You think the Titans are going to fight?
At Titans? Yeah, I got Seahawks winning, but I got Titans scrapping out like another 11-point loss.
Okay.
But keeping it in that 11-point range.
Another fun fact to mention, Calvin Ridley's out for the season for the Titans, so they're already slow to start offense, is missing another core piece.
Oh, and we have not talked about the number 1 overall pick this year, who I was very adamant
wasn't going to be
pod, who is not going to be good.
He has not been good.
In week 12, going into week 12, I have so far been accurate.
Yeah, you know what? The Titans have whiffed twice now with their first-round quarterback picks. So
just wanted to throw that in because I have so many losses in fantasy and in Raiders. I got to get a win.
You deserve
a win.
Yep.
It's at the expense of that poor young man, but I'm taking it.
Yeah, fair enough.
Sorry, Camworth.
Jags at Cardinals. Jags are favored by 2.5. I'm doing it. I'm picking the Cardinals. I'm picking the Cardinals.
Yeah, the Jaguars, man, they're so fake. Oh man, they just destroyed the Chargers last week. They just destroyed the Chargers last week.
Yeah, they did. They did make the Chargers look like a mess, which we didn't mention because the Chargers are on a bye week this week. But we should have mentioned that.
We went right past
the Chargers
them.
Got embarrassed last week.
We let them off the hook. For anybody who's listening as a Chargers fan, we let you off the hook.
You're welcome.
I am going to take I'll take the Cardinals too. I'm gonna go with some little Brissett action.
Little Jacoby Brissett action. I mean, come on, dude. Browns at Raiders. Raiders are favored by 3.5.
The Raiders are favored by 3.5.
Now,
oh God.
The Browns defense is still the Browns defense. And the Raiders'
but
offense
you know
is
what?
still the Raiders' offense.
The Raiders' defense is playing really good.
It's going to be a low-scoring game for sure.
I'm going to go with the Raiders on this one, dude.
I am too. Here's the difference. The Raiders are going to win on a game-winning field goal. So the Browns are going to cover. That's my difference. I don't think there's going to be many touchdowns.
It was 3.5?
3.5, yeah.
That's such a huge spread to say the Raiders are going to beat anybody by 3.5.
I know.
What are we doing?
Yeah. So are you saying the Browns are covering too?
I'm taking the Raiders both ways.
Awesome, dude. Awesome. All right. Eagles at Cowboys. Eagles are favored by 3. I'm doing it too. I'm saying the Cowboys are winning this game. I know I'm wrong, but
I don't think that's a stretch. I don't think that's a stretch, though.
I don't think it's a stretch either.
It's a divisional game. It's a
divisional game in Dallas. In Dallas.
Philadelphia does not look
They haven't looked that good.
They don't look right.
Yeah.
They win, and so, but they just don't
always win,
right.
though.
And
that's the difference.
Honestly, Dallas is starting to look buttoned up.
They're getting there.
Yeah. I'm going to go with Dallas.
You're on my team here? Wow. Okay. I mean,
that's hard to say, but I'm going to. Yeah, I'm going to go with Dallas. And the Eagles are favored, right?
Eagles are favored by 3, yeah.
Oh, yeah, I'm taking Dallas.
Falcons at Saints. Saints are favored by 1.5 here.
Oh, my God. Yeah, I'm going to take the Saints, baby.
Me too, man.
Come on, Saints.
I don't give a fuck about the Falcons anymore. I will never pick them again, no matter what. Bucks at Rams. Rams are favored by 6.5. And
wow, 6.5.
You know what sucks too is I think it's true. I think if we're going based off of last week, I think the Rams are gonna at some point in this game remember that they're the Rams, and then they're gonna come out and schmack. So I picked the Rams both ways.
You said 6.5.
6.5 touchdown or
no,
more.
I'm gonna take the Rams to win, but I'm gonna take the Bucks to cover that one.
Hell yeah. Okay, last game. Here it is. Panthers at 49ers. Niners by 6.5. I said it when we talked about it.
I said 49ers both ways.
Yeah, me too.
I'm sorry. I'm not even gonna let you get it out. I'm just saying mine.
I mean, I said it the same thing. I already put it in.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, Niners are gonna win.
Okay.
Both ways. That's it. That's our podcast.
Right.
Thanks again for watching. If you made it this far, we appreciate it. We love the support. Don't forget to like and comment and subscribe, gamers. Share the podcast with your friends. All right. Otherwise,
strangers, share it with strangers.
Anybody, honestly, just show it to people. Really, give it to anybody.
I do.
Yeah,
I do. I show everybody. So,
thanks again for watching.
All right,
we'll see you next week. I've been Michael Vitt, and he's been Mike Vitt, and we've just been two Vitts talking shit. See you later.
Shit.
Bye bye.